Grief is something that we all must go through. You may look at it in a multitude of different ways. It's necessary for growth, it helps teach you lessons. For some, it's a rite of passage, proving you have matured and begun a new era of your life. Maybe the grief you experienced shaped you and made you who you are. Maybe you're able to push onwards with only the scars remaining. Or perhaps you look coldly on those memories, never being able to let go of what once was. What used to be or what could have been. Everyone feels different even though it's the same emotion. Nobody grieves the same way. So what are you to do when grief is all you've ever known? How would that change you and your decisions? Clair Obscur Expedition 33 shows us every side of this. We're stuck in a world where death is all around us and our characters are forced to endure it. The people they love and grew up with are on borrowed time. Every year, more and more people cease to exist as things only get more dire. There are less people than there ever have been. The countdown is only getting closer to its end, with every number telling us the maximum age of those who can survive as the mysterious Paintress holds all the power to erase everyone. Eventually, there will be no one left at the end of the world. Our only hope is to gather those who wish to fight and find the reasoning for this and put a stop to it. However, every year, every expedition, that hope that things could finally end, that light at the end of the tunnel feels more like a fantasy than an actual solution. Those who leave the land of Lumiere never return. Not only do we see everyone fade away into nothing, we also see more of them sail away into a promise to save humanity, only to never return, leaving the remaining people of Lumiere to wonder if things will ever be different. Can they be different? Mere moments of Expedition 33 landing on an island, they are torn apart and killed in seconds, never given a chance to fight or solve any mystery. Their life is taken before they realize what is going on. So, if things are hopeless, then why keep going? If every expedition has ended with failure, should they even be fighting? How can one live if the world itself breathes despair? Because that's another side of grief, not being able to let go. How can you just sit around and wait for your own death? How can you live if you continue to watch your entire world burn? Wouldn't you want a world where you can smile as you look towards tomorrow? For some people, they choose to act instead of accepting their circumstance. They refuse to go through with a cycle that has plagued their whole life. You can call it delusional, but isn't it so if you do nothing? With this idea, you have characters like Lumiere who were born to carry the torch, raised to commit to the expedition and solve the mystery of their impending doom. There is this oath that every expeditioner must swear by. You always hear it throughout the game, and it's what defines the first act of the game as you go through mountains of bodies and journals of your fallen friends. For those who come after, when one falls, we continue. Every person is a stepping stone for something greater. Every journal you find, every story, every body, it's all for the sake of the future, for the next people who come to find the solution. You aren't given any time to linger with these emotions because that's wasted time. Time that could be spent to stop the Paintress. But what if I said that none of that actually mattered? In an almost cruel twist of fate, we learn that this whole goal of trying to stop the countdown and fight the mysterious Paintress was all just a misunderstanding. Turns out, the same world-ending event that took many lives was actually just an act of mercy by the Paintress. That countdown was a warning, not a threat to the people, but a sign in how much longer they had left to live, how long the Paintress had until she ran out of power to keep this world alive. So imagine everyone's surprise when they finally took down the Paintress, only to come home and have everyone around them fade away. No celebration, no new beginnings, just nothing. All of that hope just to be torn away. So now the question I have to ask, what was even the point? What would you do if you had no choice but to look at the number at the edge of the world and accept that your time is coming? Would it be a mercy to even know when it will come? Or is it more painful to not be aware? Or is it better to be the last one standing? The only one that death did not take. Our main character in Act 1, Gustav, is thought to be the only one left out of his whole team that came on this expedition. Even after knowing that the others could die, or that these expeditions usually end with little purpose, he still chose to come. It's his last year after all, he has to do something. But after seeing his whole team get knocked down in seconds, he realizes just how pointless this all is, choosing to rest with his friends instead of continuing on without them. Thankfully, Lumiere appears and tries to give Gustav a second wind. It is extremely sad to think that if Lumiere was just a second too late, Gustav would have perished along with his friends. After seeing all of his friends die, he was given the option to continue on or succumb like the others, only choosing not to thanks to not being alone. But what if he was alone? What if he had pulled that trigger and somehow he didn't die? What if he was forced to continue on, not given a say in what happens? What then? Would life be better or worse, knowing that you could live forever but continue to watch your friends die all around you? Is that a mercy? In Act 2, we meet a new character named Verso. and he was cursed with immortality by the Paintress. The reasoning why is why I decided to make this whole video. In another cruel act of mercy, Verso was given another chance of life. In fact, this whole game is about Verso and his second chance at life. The biggest twist of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, yes, you have to say the full name every time, we learn that the world of Lumiere is nothing but a facade, a fake world that exists in a canvas, one controlled by a Paintress, a world that was completely fabricated, painted to be an escape, an illusion to ignore grief, to hold on to a world of wonder that no longer brings happiness, but you just can't throw it away. You just can't bring yourself to walk away and let things go. Verso lost his life in a fire, and because of his mother's pain, he was painted into one of his canvases to preserve him, to give him another shot at life. But the life she gave was nothing more than her being selfish. Verso didn't want this. The entire second act, we see just how badly damaged Verso is and how he thinks of his family. He's broken. He's been through enough. He's lived over 100 years, and much like Gustave or Lune, he's known grief. He's lived through it. Gustave lost the love of his life, and before he can get a chance to process her death, he was sent straight away on Expedition 33. Lune was born for a greater purpose, to be nothing more than another stepping stone, a legacy for her parents. Verso was forced to watch his soulmate die, to betray his love out of fear of what was to come, because of what he is, a Desandre, a Paintress, a fragment of the real world, forced to live on because of his family, because of what he represents, both a legacy and a representation of a happier life. Without Verso Desandre, his family fell apart. His younger sister Alysia burned and scarred and unable to speak, unable to carry the weight of Verso's selflessness. Clair, his older sister, is forced to be the pillar that holds the family together and carry on their responsibilities as their mother, Aline, tears her body apart and is unable to move on. It's why she chose to stay in the canvas and show the countdown. She is slowly dying, withering away, using every ounce of power to keep the fragment of Verso alive, painting a false version of him in order to avoid facing her true feelings. And it's not just Verso, it's the entire Desandre family that's been painted in this world, to try and go back to that normal life that she once had. And then there's her husband, Renoir. First painted as a villain, but through conversations, is just shown to be a father that is tired, scared of losing more family through his grief. He is forced to watch his partner, his wife, give her life away to a memory, to hide away, to escape in a fantasy world with a fake family, because she can't move on. Everyone is tired, everyone is fighting with Verso stuck in the middle of it. It all centers around him. And what exactly is he supposed to do? The reason for the expeditions, the death, the monsters, it's all him. Not directly, of course. Those monsters were created to weaken the Paintress and take away her power so she'd eventually get out of the canvas. The characters getting erased and fading into nothing is actually Renoir's power. He's trying to destroy the canvas so his wife can stop hiding away in it. And it's not like Verso can just wait out the storm. He's immortal. Aline refuses to let him die. If he chooses to stay in the canvas and play pretend with his mother, then he is only killing her in the process, along with other people. Even if this world is fake, the people who lived here have lived, have suffered, have loved. How can you live knowing that your entire existence is the reason this world is doomed? The worst part, Verso's known this whole time that he isn't the real Verso, only a painted version. Not only is he forced to know that he himself is not who he's supposed to be, he's also the reason others are dying. I can't imagine how he's supposed to just live with that. He's not the same Verso that died originally. He may have his memories and thoughts, but this painted Verso has lived and continued on and changed. Is he supposed to pretend to be happy for the sake of his mother, or forced to side with his father to destroy this world? Verso's new life in this canvas is far from mercy, and surely his sister Alysia would understand this point of view. Alysia, or rather Maëlle, was saved from the fire by Verso. He gave up his life to save hers, and she feels responsible for his death. And throughout her journey, it is heavily hinted that it is kind of her fault. Her family blames her, and her mother even more so. And because of the accident, Alysia has lost the ability to speak, now a constant reminder that she will never be the same without Verso. And this is proven as when she enters the canvas, she is able to paint over her scars and finally speak. She's finally able to be herself and now live in a world without the weight of her family on her shoulders, or her mother judging and hating her for not being the one to die. In the canvas, she can finally live and be free. It only makes sense why she'd want the canvas to keep existing. Not just to keep a memory of her brother alive, but also so she can have her own escape from reality. But this all falls apart the moment we get to Act 3. In Act 3, we learn that Alysia is Maëlle. She was reborn as a new person by accident. She was able to live a completely new life, though unlike Verso, she wasn't aware of her previous life until the end. She also took it very well. She wasn't distraught or torn apart about her fake life within this world. She instead took it as a sign to save it, to continue to live in it. Her conversation with Renoir shows what side she's on. She frames it as wanting to keep a part of Verso alive, but in reality she's being selfish. Her father is choosing to listen, but his mind is set on stopping this whole thing. It already took his wife. The last thing he wants is for this canvas to take his daughter too. It's only when Maëlle removes Renoir from the canvas that you start to realize that Maëlle is not thinking about Verso. Maëlle hasn't had a good life. Being born in Lumiere, she has seen her family and loved ones fade away. She saw her pseudo-brother and father figure die right in front of her eyes, while she couldn't do anything. Shortly after, she breaks down and calls it unfair that all this life is just death. Constant mountains of bodies and little to no hope of any of this ending. When regaining her memories and defeating Renoir, it finally shows that this is her chance to finally change things, to bring back those who have been erased and save everyone by keeping this canvas alive. A chance to be a hero. But what about Verso? Does he just get to live on forever and be immortal? Are you going to take away that curse? And if he finally does die, are you just going to bring him back? Would you erase his memories so he doesn't remember being reborn? Is all that supposed to be a mercy? To have your life taken out of your hands? To be paraded around to suit someone else? That makes her no different from the Paintress. She is blinded by her grief and wants to continue to live as Maëlle when she's supposed to be Alysia. She has lived this new life with friends and family, and she doesn't want to throw that away. She frames it as killing them and destroying the last piece of Verso, but if she would just listen to what Verso has been telling her, she would understand that Verso doesn't want this life. He's tired. He's been done for a very long time. We see Verso's remaining soul that is bound to the canvas, and when Painted Verso asks if he wants to stop, he nods his head yes. This fragment of Verso's soul is forced to be here. He's forced to just sit here and paint, and he just wants to stop. He just wants all this to be over, and not just for his sake, but for everyone. There is no guarantee that keeping the canvas alive will heal the Desandre family, that it won't tempt their mother to return back into this world and paint another Verso and start the cycle all over again. By doing this, Verso can save his family just like he saved his sister. This is our final choice that we get to make as a player. Do we side with Maëlle? Do we keep the canvas and everyone else alive? Or do we erase it all and let Verso rest? Looking at it plainly, it seems like a very obvious answer, right? How can we kill hundreds inside the canvas? How can Alysia willingly watch her brother die again? How can she just live in the real world where she can no longer speak and is covered in scars? To remain in a broken family that no longer has light? But on the other hand, how can we force Verso to live when he doesn't want to anymore? How can we take away his chance of escaping the darkness? How can the Desandre family move on when the last piece of Verso is tearing them apart? How can we let Alysia play pretend and escape reality just as her mother did? How can we start a new cycle of a Paintress taking control of this world and eventually losing herself with it? The longer Alysia stays in this world, the more power she will use, and eventually it will just be as it is in the beginning, with a brand new countdown for the end of the world. But if we destroy the canvas, how can we be certain that the broken family will heal? Can we really destroy the last piece of a loved one just so we can move on? Both options are not good and not bad. They certainly aren't happy. It's a choice on how we choose to grieve, and the only thing we are left with are questions. The main one being, was this the right choice? Are things going to be okay? We don't know what will happen, and we probably won't ever know. And I'd like to ask you all this question. Which option would you choose? Who do you side with? Maëlle or Verso? Here's what I believe, if it wasn't obvious throughout the video. Maëlle deserves her happiness, but not at the expense of her brother. He's already been through enough, and he's been ready to go ever since he died in that fire. And forcing him to continue on to play the piano and live on as a husk of what he used to be is just cruel. Maybe he can find a new meaning in life. Maybe this could be a chance for him to live on for something new, to help him heal through all that he's been through. But if we're talking about healing, Maëlle may need it more than anyone else. How is Maëlle supposed to live normally in the canvas with her current memories, with the power of the Paintress, with the ability to erase people and bring them back, to paint over the mistakes or add on new life? Can she even handle being this world's god? And what about her body in the real world? The longer she spends in the canvas, the weaker she'll get, and she'll slowly die because of it. We also saw what happened to her mother, and I'm worried that Maëlle will become just like that. Even if it is a harder choice, I do believe that she needs to go back to her original world and face everything head on. And just like Verso, we don't know if Maëlle will find new purpose or happiness or feel any source of closure, but hopefully it'll be a start for this grieving family to begin healing.